Okay, so I put my comforter over my couch to try and make it look less weird because I feel like this salmon just disrupts the aesthetic of this tie-dye shirt. Anyways, hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mira. Be sure to subscribe and go ahead and like this video because it's gonna be a good one. I'm making this video today not only to let you guys know why I made this decision, but also to just kind of preserve this as a memory for myself because I think I did end up making the right decision. Yes, that's correct grammar. Okay, anyways, today's video is going to be why I dropped out of Berklee College of Music. I know that a lot of my videos center around college and my lifestyle, and so you're gonna end up seeing a change with my back to school videos and like what I'm doing, and I want to just explain myself and let you guys know what's happening. I kind of have some notes from when I was at Berklee and like some things that I wanted to talk about, but I think that this will be kind of messy, so just bear with me. I guess I want to start this video off by giving a huge thank you to all of my friends that stuck with me through this. I think when I was there, I wasn't able to reach out to people because I was so miserable and depressed, and it was such a transitional time for me that I know that I wasn't able to reach out and talk to my friends as much as I normally would have. It really does mean a lot, and it just made it that much more easier for me to make this decision. So I moved to Boston in January of 2020. It was the day after my birthday, I think, which kind of sucked because I was saying goodbye to like everyone on my birthday, and I had gotten in, let me tell the background story of how I got into the Berklee College of Music. So I was applying to lots of colleges my senior year of high school, and I wasn't going to apply to Berklee until like I think the last minute. I wasn't gonna apply, but then the application just didn't seem that strenuous. It was like an audition essentially. I wasn't within 200 miles of the nearest like audition center, so I could do it online. So we were like, okay, word, I'll do it online. And then they emailed me and they were like, hey, we got your application. Do you want to do the audition this Friday, or do you want to have to wait until a time in May because we have nothing in between this? And this was like in February. They told me that I would have to do the audition on Friday, the same week where I had like 3 different college apps due, and I was like, I can't even think about this right now. So I was like, I'll do it in May, I'll do it in May. I auditioned on May 10th, and let me tell you, decision day is like May 1st. That's when everyone decides they're going to college. So I was already very late, but I was like, okay, I'll just do it. And the audition went absolutely horrible. It was literally so bad. I was crying afterwards. I grew up playing piano, and I can play a little bit of guitar, and I just grew up singing. I had never had any vocal training prior to this, so I can sight read on the piano, but I couldn't sight read music with my voice at that time. And one of the parts of the audition was sight reading, and so they were like, sight read this, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. And then the guys that I was auditioning for, they were like, well, you kind of have to know how to do that. And then they started laughing at me. It was horrible, and I hated it. So after the audition happened, I was just crying. I like literally didn't even think in my mind there was any way I was getting into school. I was like, no, it was just like botched audition. Like I was so upset, but my parents were like, this is good practice. Like you need to have these like experiences. And I was like, okay. Fast forward to like the middle of June, I get an email that says like my decision is out. And you know how sometimes when you're like, I probably won't get in, but I have like a little smidgen of hope. Like you just have like this little tiny little smidgen. I did not have that. I was like, there's literally 0%. Okay, there is literally 0% chance that I got into this institution. There's no way. I was like, okay, another rejection letter, like excited. And I opened up the email and it said that I got in for the spring semester. They ran out of spots in the fall semester, I think probably because I auditioned so late, but that I could come in the spring. I was literally in shock. I had not expected that at all. And I had never visited the school. I've never been to Boston in my life. I went downstairs and I was like, Mom, I got into Berklee. And she started laughing. She was like, what? I was like, I don't know. So I decided that I was gonna go to NC State in the fall semester and then go to Berklee in the spring of 2020. So that was my decision. I was like, this is fantastic. This is gonna be a long video to edit. I knew that I had to go, but I didn't really think much about it. I was like, this is just something that I have to do. Even if I don't like it, I have to do it no matter what. I went to Boston probably sometime in November to visit the city for the first time ever. You can watch that video. I'll have it linked below. Moving to a city I've never been to before. Whew, that was a lot. That was a lot. I wasn't like excited, but I wasn't not excited. I was like, this is just what I have to do. And then I thought I was gonna be really upset when classes ended at NC State. It was like my week of finals and I was just like kind of sad. Like I really ended up fitting into the school a lot better than I thought I would have. I had all these new friends. I really liked the classes that I took. I was just kind of like, it's gonna be a bummer to leave it, but I knew that I had to go to Berklee. But then when I finished my final exam for that semester and I walked out onto campus, I just remembered feeling so happy. I was so excited. did. I didn't cry. I thought I was gonna cry leaving, but I didn't cry. I was so excited to go. So there's that. And then fast forward to January, I was feeling a little bit more nervous about leaving, but I was like, wow, that's crazy, I'm moving to Boston. So then my birthday came and I said goodbye to everybody, and then I left on a plane the next day. Me and my dad flew up to Boston with all my stuff to move into my dorm. When we were there in Boston, I just felt weird. I felt kind of like, this is strange. When my dad helped me move into my dorm room, you can watch my dorm room tour below too. It's a really nice dorm. 150 Mass Ave, baby. So my dad helped me move in, and then he was like, okay, bye. I was like, bye. And then I was just really sad. And there was like a week where we had orientation before everyone else got back to school. And I just remembered feeling really lonely because this was like the first time in my life I was in this huge city where there was absolutely no one that I knew. Literally no one. I felt so alone. I was so lonely. I had some friends from high school that go to BU, and so my friend Carmen, I think, visited me later that week when she like moved up. And I literally think, I don't remember if I actually cried, but I know I wanted to cry when I saw her because I was just so happy to see a familiar face. So the first 2 weeks I was having like an existential crisis and like a mad imposter syndrome. I just felt like I wasn't good enough to be with all these people. I had never had any vocal training and I was like a vocalist. I just felt so out of place and I was like, I don't think I should be here. This just doesn't feel right. I don't like the vibe that I'm getting. I just didn't feel good enough to be there. I wasn't like sure of myself in any possible way. I just felt so out of my element. The second 2 weeks I was there, I felt a little bit less existential, but I was still really concerned about the future. I just remember feeling absolutely horrible. I was so depressed. It was hard for me to create. I did write a really good song though. I did do one really good creative thing. Hopefully that'll drop later this year if I figure out how to produce and mix my own music, but you know, one thing at a time. I think that it was hard for me to come to terms with Berklee not being the right fit for me because Berklee was kind of like my validation as a musician. I had never been validated before, but then this huge musical institution was like, yeah, we want you. And I was like, oh. It just felt so good. I felt like I was suddenly respected by a lot of musicians in my community. They were like, oh shit, like you got into Berklee, like that's pretty dope. I had never really like heard of Berklee before all of this because I live under a rock. It was a really big thing for me and it means a lot that I got into the school and then I was able to go there. It meant a lot to me. So it was really hard to get there and then suddenly just feel like I was so out of place. That was really difficult. I love studying music, so having structured classes that were only for music was not the issue for me, and I want to make it clear in this video that the reason that I've dropped out of Berklee wasn't because I don't want to study music, because the thing is I do. I discovered a love for ethnomusicology, freaking love that. I love learning about the history of music, I love studying music, but the reason why I left Berklee was because I ended up having a lot of issues with the institution itself. So let's get into that. I felt trapped. I felt trapped within the system. The high school that I went to was very academically rigorous, and then when you go to a music college, there's just more of an emphasis on, yeah, okay, like take the classes and do the work, but there's not gonna be a lot of homework because they really want students out there like gigging and like playing shows and like doing all this stuff, connecting with the community, which is like good, it's fine, but I just wasn't used to that type of academic environment. And for me, the school cost literally so much money that I was like, okay, so I need to be taking more classes a semester. But at Berklee, you can't take over 16 credit hours, and if you do, then you have to pay them more money, and it's already such an obscene amount of money that I was like, how can I rationalize this? I just knew in my heart this isn't for me. The point is that the school was very different. Music school is very different from regular college, like a more basic university experience, I guess. I was so used to school being a certain way. The moral of the story is that I wanted to take more classes and I wanted to get it done faster so I didn't have to pay as much money. You couldn't take over more than 16 credit hours, which was frustrating. The next big thing about it is that you can't really test out of classes. Like you can, but they make it really difficult. So for like music theory, for example, I've been playing piano my whole life. I know music theory. And I was like, oh, I'll test out of the first class, it'll be fine. But for the first music theory class, it's like they test you on theory for like piano, bass, guitar, and drums. And like, who's gonna know theory for all four of those instruments? It would take like a very like experienced and well-rounded talented musician to know all of that. Berklee's trying to take all of these different musicians and bring them up to the same level and know all of the same things. They're trying to make it really well-rounded, which is good, but it just also makes sometimes the classes can be a little bit repetitive. It was just frustrating, and I was like, this feels like they're just trying to take my money. That's kind of the main points that I wanted to make with the academic side of things. I made a little bullet journal spread of why I left, what I learned, and what I want. So maybe I should go over that now to just kind of wrap things up. I met a lot of people, which is good, but I actually had a lot of trouble making friends at Berklee, which is not something that's like the school's fault, but it's just specific to my personal experience. I remember orientation week, we were all sitting in the BPC and this person was like, okay, tell the person next to you a really fun fact about yourself, but it can't relate to music at all. And it was like crickets. Like, these people only do music. And maybe I didn't meet enough people, but I was like, I mean, me and my friend Morgan were like, we played soccer in high school, blah, blah, blah. But I did end up meeting a lot of really cool people. I don't want you guys to think that I'm bashing the entire school. I obviously didn't know the entire school when I was there. Shout out Estrika, I love you. The Northeast sucks, but I'm biased because I hate the Patriots, so moving to Boston might not have been the best decision for me. What I learned a lot about music theory. I learned how to sight read with vocals, how to write like a groove chart, how to live in a big city alone. That shit, reality check, baby. You need that. And it showed me what I want. The reason I decided to leave was because I just knew it wasn't the right fit for me. I think you've heard me talk about it through this whole video. I just wasn't happy. Berklee was teaching me things that I didn't know, but I feel like I could get a lot of what I was learning back in North Carolina for a lot less money. It just felt like I could take vocal lessons here. I could do a lot of the things that I was doing in Boston back home at a school that I know I felt good in, and at a school that I really liked and had a good community within for a lot less money. That was kind of like the reasoning for me. I was just like, this just doesn't feel like the right fit. So at the end of the day, I just think that it wasn't my perfect match. And I don't think that either school that I have gone to is my perfect match. I think that it's hard to find a college that's completely perfect for you. But I think that out of Berklee versus NC State just fit me a lot more. I fell in love with the school. I think if I hadn't gone to state before Berklee, I probably would have stuck it out at Berklee because I would have had no prior experience of what college could be. I would have been like, well, I guess this is it. Like, there wasn't much else for me to do with that. I want to end this video by saying what I want. So what I want is I still want to produce and make music and have that be my main career. That's still my goal in life. I just know that this is what I want to do with my life. I want to be able to put food on my table. I want to be able to have enough of a following to make a steady, healthy career out of it. I want to have my own independent label at some point. I think it'd be really cool to do that. I want to have a very broad college education. I want to be able to explore other interests, not only related to music. I want to be able to take lots of classes in different things because I just have a lot of interest. And I do want to go to grad school. My dream would be to go to grad school at NYU. Dream school, baby. Will that happen? Who knows? Check back with me in like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, so that is what I ultimately want in life. Music is still my main focus. And before we leave this video, this is probably the most important part of the video, so if you've made it to this point, congratulations, you're about to get some really good advice. Letting go of things is really difficult, but you have to listen to your gut. If you know something's not right for you, don't feel like you have to stay somewhere at a school. You're not a failure if you like change your mind. You're not failing at anything if you decide to go something a little bit more in your comfort zone. You know, you don't have to make yourself uncomfortable completely in order to be successful in life. You can do what you want and what's best for you. And ultimately, you're the person that's gonna know that, you know? And I think that a lot of people tend to stay on paths because they're too afraid to leave or give up or concede. And this is not the case. You can do what's right for you, what you know is right for you, and it's ultimately gonna work out in your best interest. That's kind of my ending sentiment to this. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've made it this far, comment down below something that you really like about the college that you go to, because I know that I really had to go to Berklee. I think there would have been no way in my life that I couldn't have gone. I had to see for myself. I had to put myself through that trial to see if I liked it, and I ended up not liking it. So now I'm gonna be back at NC State in the fall. I couldn't be more excited. I'm really happy. I'm happy with all the connections I've made at Berklee. I'm happy that I went, but I know that this is ultimately the best place for me here. I'm really set in my decision. Like, I know I'm making the right one. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to like this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.